Welcome to Biodiversity and Natural Beauty in Georgia, a guide for the outdoor curious. This presentation is intended for the outdoorsy, the indoorsy, the general public at large. If you happen to live in or be visiting Georgia, you may be amazed and curious about the variety of natural habitats present in this state. There are beaches, plains, rivers, mountains, and much more. And perhaps the best way to learn about all of these beautiful environments is to actually step outside and into them. There are many ways to visit and experience Georgia's outdoors that can be learned about using government resources. The Georgia Department of Natural Resources provides many opportunities and ways to learn. The National Park Service has several sites here, and you can also make reservations and learn about licensing and legal issues in order to fully enjoy your time outdoors here in Georgia. The most straightforward way to learn about state parks in Georgia is the Georgia Department of Natural Resources Park Index. The primary resource on this website is the Park Index, which is a map that provides a legend with some amenities provided. It shows the locations of the parks within the state, so you can see which park is roughly nearest to you. And those parks are named below. Each of those names is a hyperlink that leads to a page specifically about the park with many more details. If you scroll down on this page, there is also some separate lists that provide lists of historical sites and parks that are more architectural than natural, including First Nations burial mounds, historical houses, Civil War battlefields, and similar. One park that, when I first found out about it, it seemed like it didn't really belong in Georgia, that I would like to highlight is Cloudland Canyon. Cloudland Canyon is home to 1,000-foot deep canyons that are filled with waterfalls, cliffs, caves, interesting plants, wild animals, and just amazing places to explore. Cloudland Canyon is very popular and provides really stunning accommodations. You can rent cabins and yurts through the website. There are primitive campsites. There are several ADA accessible trails that you can find information about on the website, as well as fishing spots, curated hikes, tours, learning opportunities. This is a fantastic park. Check it out. Another park that should be highlighted, and with it the government website that provides information on it, is Panola Mountain. Panola Mountain is part of the Arabia Mountain National Heritage Area, which is one of only 2 national heritage areas in the state of Georgia, and it is home to some of the most unique ecosystems in the southeast. When you go to Panola Mountain, the granite portion of it specifically, it's very sparse and almost desert-like. There are small succulents and cactuses growing, which is strange enough. But over the late fall, there is a plant called Diamorphous smalley, which blooms, and it is stunning. It looks like the moon is dotted with pools of crimson flowers, and this plant grows almost nowhere else on Earth. Do check out Panola Mountain and check out the website on it. It is full of fascinating information about the ecological diversity of this park. Along with state parks, the National Park Service also has several designated sites here in Georgia, including historical and recreational sites. These include portions of the Appalachian Trail. There are many First Nations sites, including memorials along the Trail of Tears. The Chattahoochee River itself is considered a national recreational site, and many more. Visiting the index of Georgia NPS sites can allow you to explore sites of national importance here in your own backyard. They are maybe not as popular as, say, the Grand Canyon or Yosemite, but many of them are interesting in their own right and definitely worthy of being explored. The NPS website also provides several fascinating statistics on how resources are used to maintain these parks, volunteer hours, visitors, etc., etc. Truly fascinating if you're someone who gets into data. One NPS site that should be really considered is Cumberland Island. It is the southernmost barrier island in Georgia and is home to beautiful ruins, wild horses, untamed and unspoiled seashores, and the preserves of a mansion whose origins I'm not sure of, but you can find out about them on the NPS website for this park. This is a really interesting island because it is so undeveloped. If you go camping on it, there are only primitive camping sites. You can only access it by ferry, and you have to bring in everything yourself. So if you go to visit this place, it's a bit more work than, say, Cloudland, which has those beautiful yurts and cabins, but it is so fascinating and so worth it. Check out the website for sure for information on the history and the wildlife of Cumberland Island. In the age of the internet, and especially the age of coronavirus, it is really important to start your journey into these areas at home. If you visit the georgiastateparks.org reservation site, you can reserve campsites, equipment rentals, space on tours, activities. Even some parks are requiring timed tickets now because they're so popular on weekends that they have to space people out arriving in order to keep everyone safe. So if you are interested in visiting any of these parks, it is very important to visit the reservations to be sure that you will have parking, you will have access to the things you need, and if you want to do something like a tour or an archery course or a bouldering lesson, you will have space on that activity. If you are interested in hunting or fishing, you will also require a hunter or a fisher license, which are available from the Georgia Department of Natural Resources Wildlife Division. This website also provides really great information on how to deal with wildlife safety in your own backyard or when you go out camping. If you are more indoorsy, or you need some data for some research, or you just want to know exactly what you're looking at before you go look at it, there are so many fascinating websites for just finding really straight up data, resources, and studies and publications on these sites in Georgia. The United States Geological Survey has fascinating and extremely specific resources on the natural state of Georgia. Visiting this website, you can find studies, maps, data on things such as water sourcing and retention, water control, pH content in soil, and other really important, really specific things you might want to know about your backyard here in Georgia. Many of the most recent publications are focused on water control, retention, and sourcing, as Georgia is facing growing concerns over both drought and flooding, depending on which part of the state you're in. These studies can help show trends over time and do show that while Georgia is not facing much temperature increase as many other states, it is facing increasing concerns around flooding and hurricane season and other markers of climate change. The U.S. Department of Agriculture Forest Service has fascinating databases on the Chattahoochee-Oconee National Forest, which cover over 800,000 acres of Georgia. You can study that information at fs.usda.gov/CONF, which stands for Chattahoochee-Oconee National Forest. The USDA Forest Service also provides a living document forest fact sheet, pictured to the right. It is frequently updated with relevant information and may be found at the link listed on the slide. The last information loaded into this form was in 2019 and provides such interesting stats as Georgia has an estimated 24,418,248 acres of forest land, about 88% of which is privately owned. Fascinating. There are also statistics on the number of live trees, volume of live trees on the forest land. Just fascinating stuff. Check it out. And unfortunately, Georgia is host to several concerns regarding climate change. Climate.gov has several studies on rising sea levels which threaten the habitats along the Georgia coast, which are unique and strange and beautiful and worthy of preserving. Rising temperatures are less of a concern in Georgia than in other parts of the world, but we are experiencing a longer and more intense hurricane season, which leads to thunderstorm damage, which is something that affects us on both the coast and in the interior. As those storms do travel, the stronger the storms are. Georgia is also dealing with many invasive species, including lizards that grow up to 4 feet long along the southern edge, stink bugs that are a threat to crops, and several others, and many invasive plants. Kudzu is, of course, the most famous and the one most joked about, but there are several others that threaten our natural forests, including English ivy, mimosa, honeysuckle, and several other plants that are originally imported and sold as decorative plants, and still often are, but do pose a threat to natural environments as they do not have natural predators here and choke out the natural plants and out-compete for them. Thank you so much for viewing my presentation. I hope you found it valuable and informative, and I encourage you to use this information to go explore your own beautiful backyard, or our beautiful backyard if you happen to come visit Georgia.